The Devonian Extinction. The Devonian Extinction was one of the Earth's 5 major extinction events that occurred within its biota around the years of 419 million to 359 million years ago. And it comprised itself of multiple global events that led to the extinction of many of the marine life that lived in the cycle for over the course of 25 million years. The Devonian Extinction was not caused by a single substance, but rather it was caused by a mixture of harmful effects that damaged the ocean life. In my speech, I will be talking about what events took place during this time period, as well as the tectonic setting of the Earth, what types of species existed during this time era, as well as what caused these creatures to suffer from extinction, and the evidence that we have to support these hypotheses. The Devonian Extinction, otherwise known as the Age of the Fish, took place when the continents were of only 2 massive continents, the Euro-America and the Gondwana. The website ucmp.berkeley.edu section of the Devonian period notes that the Devonian seas were once dominated by brachiopods like the spearfirts. Though most trilobites will have disappeared by the ending of the Devonian era, the Devonian was also comprised of a large diversification of fish. As a result of this, within the Devonian era, the first colonization started taking place. However, it acted underdeveloped due to the colonization of bacteria in trees and plants, and it was speculated to spread through vegetation rather than normality, such as spreading through seeds or pollination. As stated before, the 2 largest continents of the region were the Euro-America and the Gondwana. These landmasses would soon be surrounded by subduction zones, which produce a massive collision between the 2 continents that crashed together and formed one giant Pangaea, a supercontinent. The Pangaea was considered to have formed due to the large activity of magnetism in the Earth's core. The article exploring the birth of the Pangaea and the various skin terrains, written by Ricardo Arenas, says that renewed dextral motion between the Gondwana and the Laurasia is what favored the rapid generation of a rather wide pull effect through the formation of mafic rock and large ocean currents reshaping landmasses. The effect of this event caused the Appalachian Mountains to be created. When the landmasses crashed, heavy erosion and large-scale sediments were deposited into shallow waters nearby, and vast amounts of mineral were able to be dumped and comprised and build up in the ocean waters, and this thus became the building block for life on Earth. So what type of species thrived in this time period? Due to the sea levels being vastly large, fish like the bryozoa dominated the ocean. These were classified as medium-sized aquatic invertebrates, which acted as filter feeders for the water and the communities that surrounded them. The Lower Devonian was a time where armored fish controlled the oceans in an endless population scheme. Fish like the massive Ducleustus, classified as the giant Titanichthyes, dominating these shallow seas. Biology letters paleontology, or the RSBL, the Royal Society, at the RSBL, the Royal Society Publishing, names this fish as an ancient apex predator. This fish had an extraordinarily strong bite, a bite with the equivalent muscle power of over 4,400 newtons of its jaw, making this fish one of the most feared fishes in the fish kingdom, and it holds the strongest bite of them all. And it allows fish to finally, of them all. Okay, so other fish, like the first spine fish, such as the Oceanthes, evolved from these communities as well, and allowed fish to finally control their movement in the ocean waters. But that's not all. The Devonian era is noted as the period for fishes transitioning to first terrestrial tetrapods. The article, The Greatest Stuff, Invertebrate History by J.A. Long described the transition of the aquatic animals morphing into land animals, stating that the evolutionary changes that occurred in these organisms involved a wide array to direct evidence relating to morphology, functional morphology, physiology, behavior, and its ecology, and held in important areas relating to functional changes, such as the mechanical support of the animal, its biomechanics of locomotion, its respiration, water balance, and its osmoregulation, while also developing its sensory systems and feeding behavior. These tetrapods, called the sarcopterygians, had the very characteristics of an aquatic animal, such as fins, gills, and lungs. These fish then transitioned into what is known as the proto-tetrapods, which developed limbs that allowed these animals to paddle in water rather than, scurry around in the water. They then move into an aquatic tetrapod state where they began to walk on land and on the ocean floor, while also still being connected to the ocean in some way. Finally, they then evolved into true tetrapods and were now able to walk on land and create the link between aquatic and land animals. And at last, the terrestrial tetrapods were born. They resorted to biting their food and had full control of breathing on land and only on land, using their gills, thus creating true metamorphosis. Now, we can see that the Devonian era was thriving with life. So what actually led to the extinction of many of these animals? Well, the Devonian era was on a downward slope for millions and millions of years, before it met its end with the Kelwasser event. The Kelwasser event occurred originally from the cause and effect of black shales of sedimentary rock that affected the land masses and open waters at an alarming rate. In the article Late Devonian Kelwasser Event, Mass Extinction Horizon in Germany, George McGee states that the Kelwasser limestones deposited themselves during periods of the basin stagnation and created an anoxic or poisonous conditions in the open waters. These were placed in areas with low currents and shallow and tropical ecosystems, which soon became poisoned with high acid and hydrogen sulfide, converting the precipitation of seawater into numerous amounts of iron sulfides, acidizing aquatic life as we know it. This resulted in an absence of benthic and endobenthic life. Other animals that fell victim to the poison were the ammonites, the brachiopods, the tabulate corals, the stromoporoid sponges, and other such trilobites. 80% of all the species of this era became extinct. In hindsight of this, life was too little to reproduce. Other ideals that led to this extinction was a process of global climate change like glaciation, lowering the sea level and the rise to sea level temperature, like the global, but there is one more hypothesized solution to this event, and that is because of the Devonian plant hypothesis. The Devonian Times suggests that the Devonian plant hypothesis notes that due to the spread of plant life on land, there became a growing rate of accelerated force of soil formation, which resulted in silicic weathering. Because of this type of weathering, the process created magnesium and calcium carbonates that removed carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. These carbonates soon would transition into the rivers and the oceans, bringing them chemicals into the marine sediments. And thus ends the Devonian era. For the next couple of years, the Earth would transition into what is known as the Carboniferous period, where life begins to flourish on land. So much so that the section of the Carboniferous period over at the ucmp.berkeley.edu suggests the rise of the climate and the effectiveness of the humid and tropical climates caused the glaciation to melt and widen the uplift of these continents. With the rise of terrestrial life on land, there developed a building block for heredity and the quest for life to begin anew.